Good evening. How's it going there, YouTube? Uh, Comic Crack. Join me for the next little bit. I did a order from Doug Sulipa's Comic World in Steinbach, Manitoba. I've spoken about him before. He's got an online shop, and I've ordered from him a couple of times before, just because his inventory is unbelievable. It's a lot of stuff. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description of this video as soon as I can get the chat to open up here. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description of this video, and you can check it out if you want. He does ship anywhere. But his inventory is really, really impressive. So there was a couple of, I wanted to complete a couple of mini series, so I managed to do that, and filled a lot of gaps actually in a bunch of Eclipse titles. The other beautiful thing about it, I think I've mentioned before, is that I can order from him online. I just shoot him an email with my list of stuff. He'll get back to me with a price on things, and then his drop off, he comes into the city and drops off at Thirsty's Flea Market, which is the flea market that's just, pardon me, that's just down the road from my house, less than 2 minutes drive from my place. So that works out really, really well. So I managed to get down there today and pick up my order, and I thought I would share it with you all as soon as I close all this and set all this stuff up. I was going to pre-record something, but I don't know. I'm kind of in the mood to do a live thing if anybody ends up being around. All right, there we go. Okay. Problem causing your Explorer close and reopen the tab. Okay, as long as it's reopened. Sorry, there we go. So now we're set. So Doug Sulipa's Comic World. The first thing that I'll just kind of show, because I won't show all the issues. I was able to finish the run of Kamui, the genuine ninja story, the Legend of Kamui. So I picked up issues 19 and 20, and then he had a section where he had discount sets of books, and one of those discount sets of books was Kamui issue 21 to 37, which is the rest of the series. And I think it averaged out to around $1.70 an issue, which is damn good. So now I've got the entire run. I've completed that run, which I'm really excited about. You've seen me talk about it on the channel before. And for those of you, I know Dr. Monkeybot is starting to get into manga, and I was talking to him about it just recently too. I'm really excited to finish this. I'll probably do, I know that I talked about it once already, but now that I have kind of the second half complete, I'll probably talk about it again, maybe do a second video down the line. I'm reading a couple of other mini series right now, so this won't be on the slate for a little bit yet. But I think I'll do a second video just to talk about how it wraps up and how this second half of the story gets moving. Very, very excited about that, the whole set. So as I said, I was able to fill in some gaps. I was able to find he had the final Aliens Labyrinth issue that I needed, the Jim Woodring that I had the first 3 issues of. So that was really great, get my hands on that. I paused. I read the first 2 issues and I paused until I got this one in my hands to read the whole thing, or read the rest of it at once. I didn't take a good look through his discount section on the website. I probably will revisit it just to see if he's got any complete Eclipse miniseries. He had this first issue, and I figured I'd give it a shot. Again, all the prices for this stuff was pretty dirt cheap. Probably even the ones that weren't the sets were probably just under $2 a book, which is great. And the bonus for me, obviously, is because he'll deliver into the city, I don't have to worry about paying shipping. As much as I like to kind of just hunt through the boxes, I feel like I've hunted through the boxes here in Winnipeg quite a few times and tried to extract every single Eclipse title. I know that there's a couple more still hiding out at cover to cover, but a lot of the stuff that I got from him this past time I haven't seen out there. They don't exist out in the world, and actually, even though I tried to fill some gaps, there is still a couple of gaps that I'm missing. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. So I decided to pick up The Amazing Cynical Man, issue number 1, which is an Eclipse Comics title. Somewhere in there, I guess, is the focus. So I don't know too much about this one. What year do we got here? June 1987. Simple kind of stick figure comics here. I don't know if I don't think the kayfabers were talking about this one. I think they talked about cartoonist kayfabe. I think talked about Bean World, but I don't think they talked about this one. I thought maybe I saw something on their channel about this one. So there you go. Only one title. So this is book 2 of 4 for Black Magic. I think that gives me the first 4 issues now that I can read this whole piece. Another in the line of Eclipse manga. Look at the interiors there. I like the covers on these ones. It looks like it'll be a fun story. We'll see. More sci-fi, robots, outer space type of fight book. I can't resist when I see anything from the comic book company Blue Comet. My Blue Comet collection is pretty close to complete at this point. So this is the Bladesman book number 1. I have another issue of the Bladesman already. At least one, maybe a couple. I'm pretty sure I don't have this one. It wasn't in my list anyway in CLZ, so I picked up that. And then he had in, I believe it says, I don't know. I almost want to say that oh no, that's got to be a number 1. Bladesman Undersea number 1. And lo and behold, it's sealed in a poly bag with a card in it. So that's kind of cool. Another from Blue Comet. This was a Blue Comet release, right? Pretty sure it was. I don't think it went to another company. I'm not. No, yeah, Blue Comet. There we go. On the back shows Blue Comet. I was just going to say, I don't think that this was one of those kind of 80s black and white books that jumped around from company to company. I'm pretty sure this was only with Blue Comet. So that's kind of exciting. Unfortunately, there's no Storman art in here. Greg Storman, or is it Greg Stroman? I believe it's Storman. Sorry, let me just check here. I'm pretty sure it's Storman, though, because he did some inks in some of the pinups here in the back. Actually, maybe I'll show these pinups too. Yeah, Storman, Stormon. And this one is nice because it has about half a dozen pinups in the back. Some of them inked by Storman. Fun books. I have to say that his artwork is the main reason to ever look for any of those Blue Comet. And I would say if you see Blue Comet like Life Brigade with Greg Storman's art on the cover, you can't miss it. I've talked about it before on this channel. You can't miss it. I highly recommend that you pick it up. The stories might not be that shit hot, but the art is just out of this world. Really ridiculously good. So I think this was just a 3-issue series from Eclipse FX. Blood is the Harvest. I got the 3 issues. And what was a surprise in this one that I didn't really know, and I'm not quite sure, there's a there's a scratch card inside two of these issues, issue number 1 and issue number 3. Issue 2 doesn't have the scratch card. I'm tempted to scratch it to see what the hell it is, but oh, match 3 and win a free trip to Hollywood. So you scratch what it is you're playing for, and then you scratch to see if you won. So they, to try to get people to buy into Eclipse FX, here's a scratch ticket for you. I'm not as blown away by the art on this one, but the completist in me and the price was right. I had to pick these up as I continue my way towards collecting all of the Eclipse titles. There's issue number 2 or book number 2. Pretty good cover, pretty ridiculous looking cover there. And then issue number 3. And again with a scratch card, a scratch ticket intact. So I don't know, we'll see. Like I said, just flipping through it, the art really isn't doing anything for me. And with a lot of this stuff, it is nice to get that kind of 80s, 90s indie type of art. He had the rest of the California Girls, Trina Robbins series that I needed to complete that run. So I picked those up. I'm pretty sure I've got them all now. I'm pretty sure this finishes it off for me. The fun thing about this, I think I've shown them before. They have these paper dolls. They have a color section in a couple of these issues. The rest of the book is black and white, but they have a color insert of paper dolls. In a previous one, I photocopied some of them. They were black and white as well. And me and my daughter spent an hour or two in the afternoon. I was cutting them out for her, and she was coloring the dresses and stuff, and I was showing her how to put them on. And it was actually quite a bit of fun. She was really enjoying herself. So that was kind of nice to spend a bit of time together and do some coloring. So thank you, Trina, from the year 2019 all the way back to 1987. Good work. That was issue number 3, I think. Yeah, number 3. And then number 4. I read 1 or 2 of the issues. It didn't do too much for me. I think it's an interesting concept, book number 6, because all of the outfits, and they actually show, let's just see if I can find it here. Here we go. California Girls Designer of the Month. So fans of the book could design the clothes for the characters, and then they would appear in the story. So it really was one of those books that was engaging with the audience, which I think is kind of cool. And then California Girls, issue number 8. So like I said, I think that completes my run of California Girls now. If not, I only need 1 or 2 more, I think. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find more of this series. I was hoping to find the rest of these. There was 2 books. I think the first book was 6 issues, and the second book, now maybe the second book was 6 issues as well too. I thought it was 4. So this is Cyber 7. This is book 1, issue number 6. I read the first couple of this. I really like this one as well. The art style between the 2 volumes is pretty different. It's a lot cleaner in this first book. I'll show you a comparison. Some very strange things. These villains that kind of separate like pages of a book and fly through the air. These kind of assassins. Their leader is that bunny character that you saw there. Let's see. And then this one looks like it has some other kind of crazy ass. Whoa, what is happening with the image there? Sorry, maybe I've frozen on you. Let's give it a second to catch up. And it looks like in this one, a villain that can stretch his limbs and open up his rib cage. That looks pretty badass. It's a fun little book. So they kind of get frozen into, one of the characters gets frozen into another dimension. When he's kind of reawakened, he's in the body of this young child, which was not him from the past. Maybe it was their father that's now inserted into his child. I can't remember what it was. That doesn't sound right. But and they come from another planet. And once they've awakened that, there's this Cyber 7 group of robots where there's basically a book to kind of control them. I don't know if it's quite spells or anything, but you need to be in control of this book to be able to give them commands. There's a great, this is from book 2, this is book number 5, or issue number 5. That's a fantastic cover. So that's the Cyber 7 there in the foreground. So the art style in this one, still pretty clean, but there's just a different feel to it. There's something different going on. I don't know if it's just they're filling in a lot of the backgrounds with black, or if they're just adding a little more textures than they were in the first one, or using more of that zipatone background. I think that's the thing that really sets it apart. That first issue, there's a lot of just black, white backgrounds. That's a nice one right there. That's a great page. Look at that page. I think I've only got 3 issues of this second volume. I'm really on the hunt for the rest of those because, like I said, I am enjoying the couple issues that I've read so far. And lo and behold, he had the final laser eraser and press button issue that I needed, number 3. That's it. I've completed that series now. This one looks like a hell of a lot of fun. Love the coloring. Love the images in that one. Those are fantastic pages. Those greens and yellows are just killer. What else stood out to me? I flipped through this one already. Yeah, this page here is pretty great too. Yeah, so this one looks like a fun one. I mean, I did do a video on this, and the series as a whole didn't blow me away, but this particular issue looks like it might have some appeal to it. Yeah, look at those pages. Those pages are ridiculous. Those are really great. I love that a lot. Who do we got here on this one? We still have Pedro Henry, art by Jerry Paris and Gary Leach, letters by Annie, colors by Dondi. Wow, very cool. So yeah, that might be another one of those good single issues. Another 4-issue mini-series from Eclipse that I've now completed. This is Storm Watcher, a little bit of fantasy D&D type of thing by the looks of the interiors. I don't know. We'll see. I'm willing to give it a shot. Again, if I'm going to go down this road, I'm willing to try some genres and styles and things that I wouldn't normally go for. Part of the fun of doing this deep dive into Eclipse Comics. And then the final issue, issue 4 of Storm Watcher. Always feels good to kind of finish off these. So when I was going through my CLZ app, I don't know if this has happened to anybody else. I haven't noticed it a lot, but there's been a few times where I've revisited some titles just to kind of double check my list versus when I'm hunting in bargain bins, that sort of thing. And every once in a while I notice I was sure that I had a comic and I'm sure that I put it in there and it seems to have vanished. And then when I go through the box, I see that I do have the comics in my boxes here and have to re-add them to the app. It doesn't happen a lot, but it has happened a few times where it looks like books have disappeared off of that list, and I'm not sure what that's about. I thought this was one of those mistakes, and when I went to the boxes, I realized that it was indeed true. I was missing one single issue of Tales of Terror. I was sure that I had the entire run, but lo and behold, digging through the box, no siree, Bob. So I've got it now. He had this issue, thankfully. I had a few of this series, but most importantly, the one that I needed. So it's pretty great to have this complete. If you know anything about it, anthology kind of horror book. Crazy looking art there. I'm not sure what's going on with that coloring of his head buried in the sand there, but that's something. So that's cool. One that's I have a few issues of and really piques my interest. The art style is very unique and it looks like looks like there's a couple of stories in it, and one of the stories they tackle is Alice in Wonderland. This is called The Dreamery, And again, I think now I've completed the series. He had quite a few of these, so I'm pretty sure I've got the whole run now, the mini series. Issue number 3. I think I've shown this off before just to kind of show you the. This is the Alice in Wonderland backup story art. Love it. I love the use of the page. I love that there's no panels. Um, very, very cool. The episode where she meets Caterpillar sitting on a mushroom. What do we got here? Let's see if I can go backwards. Sorry, 1 second. Adapted by Chris Wyman, art by Leela Dowling, lettering by L. Lewis Buhalis. Yeah, so Alice Part 2 from the book Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. There you go. And then the main story. I think that says, oh boy, I think that says I need my glasses is what that says. I think that says Donna Barr for the first story there. Again, very unique art. There's something about the few issues that I've had just flipping through them. I don't know, man. This looks like it'll be a pretty good read. I'm hoping anyway. The art really draws me in for sure, so that always helps. Oh, hey, look at that back cover. That's one I've been looking for as well, too. The Enchanter. That's a fantastic image there. I should see if he's got it on his website. Anyway, so that's Dreamery number 3. And then Dreamery number 7. Or I guess the Dreamery. The Dreamery number 8. The Dreamery number 9. The Dreamery number 10. The Dreamery number 11. And finally, what I believe is the last issue of the series, the really scary Halloween issue, the Dreamery number 12. And like I said, I think that completes that run for me. So I've got a few more titles that are on the slate to read. Interesting looking stuff. I'll absolutely do a video on this series, and we'll take a look in a little more depth when I finally get to it. And that's the stack. Let's see if we can make it take a screen grab. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. Tune in, keep tuning in. I'll be putting some more videos out soon, looking at some of the Eclipse titles. It's been pretty busy, and I'm teaching a course this weekend. Next weekend I'm on holiday. I'm taking 2 days off. Next weekend is the gaming convention in Brandon, Manitoba, which is approximately, I believe it's about a 4-hour drive from here. We're going to stay over for the weekend. Hey, no problem, Wine 49er. I'm glad to be able to share these, and that's been kind of the Dr. Monkey and Bot and I were saying the exact same thing, that it seems like when you think you've seen all the Eclipse or Pacific titles, you stumble across one in a bin that you've never seen before. It's amazing that out of all the stuff that you get exposed to out there, bin diving and bargain hunting and comic shopping and conventions, that there can still be stuff that you've never heard of before and never seen, especially with some of these more major independent companies of that time. So anyway, so I won't be around next weekend, running Cave Evil War Cults and running Dungeon Degenerates and running Mushroom Eaters. War Cults is filled up. It filled up almost instantly. Dungeon Degenerates, nobody signed up for it yet, and Mushroom Eaters, only one person has signed up so far. But it should be great. I've never been to a gaming convention. I've certainly never run a game at a gaming convention. Jaden has signed up for a few games that weekend, We're going to sign Lillian up for a couple of kids games that mom can play with her. There's a modular synthesizer convention going on that same weekend there, which makes my heart a flutter. So I might try to check that out just to see what's going on with that. And then we're just going to take a little trip out there and just spend the weekend. Alicia is working weekends. She works on Sundays. I'm not into D&D, but my son just started playing. He goes every Wednesday night to a friend of his to go hang out with a friend of his whose dad was a big D&D guy, and his dad is the dungeon master for the three kids that are playing together, and he's created a bunch of maps, and they've created characters and that sort of thing. I think he had his, I think it was only their second week this past Wednesday, second or third week, I don't remember. But after I talked to him about it after his first play, just to see what he thought, I'd bought him the starter set, that red box, quite a while back. And he kind of looked through it and thought about it, never really played with it. The reason I got it for him was that him and some of his friends, when I started explaining this game to him, he said to me, "Oh, my friends and I play that already." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, I actually make up stories for my friends and we play something like that. We don't keep track of anything. We don't write things down, but we sort of play a game where we just make up a world and we make up an adventure." So, which is very cool. Just I can just picture him and his friends just making up this game. Really, really great. Um, is my son an elf? I think is what he said. Um, so his friend's dad set all this up for them. They go Wednesday nights after school. I think they have dinner there. And after the first gameplay, I said, "So how was he?" He said, "Oh my, it was great." And he loves it. And one of the things that he signed up for at this gaming convention next week is a D&D session where you bring your own character. And so he's pretty excited about it. He signed up for a few games. There was a few Dungeons and Dragons games there for this weekend, but some of the other ones, they just didn't line up with our schedule, and then some of the other ones just filled up immediately, so I got them into one at least. I mean, it's pretty great for your kids. For the entire weekend, it costs them $10, and then they can sign up for as many games as they want. So it's cool. So I signed him up to play games at the same time I was running games, just so he's not just sitting there just having to watch his sister. She can sit with me if she's not playing a game with her mom, and then he can kind of have some time to himself and play some games. So it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. It's super cheap for an entire weekend. The convention is actually Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're going out on Friday, but we're only going to be playing Saturday and Sunday. We played a game of War Cults, and I wrote myself kind of a cheat sheet and got some stuff ready for running the game. I'm extremely excited to present that game to people. I think because it filled up so fast, I'm assuming that means that they've either heard of it or they checked out the link and it really appealed to them. So that'll be fun to kind of introduce it to a group of players and help them just get into it as I just kind of almost referee it, you know what I mean, to make sure that they know what they're doing and just let them have at it, which is going to be a blast. So thanks very much, Wine 49er. I appreciate you hanging out. And that's it. So I will attempt to remember as soon as this is over to put Doug Sulipa's Comic World link into the description box. Please have a browse. And if you so wish, place an order with them. That was the other thing I wanted to talk about. When I went to pick it up, the woman who runs the little booth where, I'm not sure her relationship to Doug, I don't know, but she was saying that, boy, you guys really love these comics, and I'm like, yeah, I've always loved it. And she's like, yeah, his business is doing really good. And I'm like, oh yeah. And she said that this past 2 years is the best business, the most business he's ever done in his entire career. And she says going onto the internet like he did for quite a while now was a really good move, but it really seems in this past couple of years, interest in comic books for him specifically has really picked up to where he's doing extremely well selling online and just running this website and running his warehouse. And she says, you know, you don't have to worry about things like people coming in and trying to steal from you. You don't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff. You just do it at your convenience. And so that's really good to hear that it's a success and that business is going really well. I know I'll keep, yes, Doug Sulipa. You probably heard his name. I've talked about him before here in some of the old, I can get one here, try and pull one up and maybe we'll get lucky. In some of the old price guides, he's had full page ads. He was the guy, one of the big distributors, especially here in Canada. They had a storefront in Winnipeg as well. And I used to go to it as a kid. It was one of my first comic shops. And I have very crystal clear memories of going into his shop and looking through his bins, et cetera, et cetera. That place had quite an impact on me for sure. Anyway, there's ads, and it looks like you're saying, yeah, you know that he's a very, very popular seller for sure. I think he's got an eBay account too, from what I remember. I've never checked that out. It's just because his catalog online is just so extensive that I don't see the point of going through the eBay route, especially when I've hit, I don't know, I've maybe looked through 10% of his website. I generally look through like his independent. He's got a whole independent comics section. He's got an underground comics section. He's got magazine. He's got paperback books. He's got your Marvel, your DC, everything from mainstream to underground. So it's, here we go. Yeah, there we go. There's an ad. Look at that. We did find one. Doug Sulipa's Comic World. This is from the comic book price guide number 16. This one here. I'm pretty sure he had a. I'm pretty sure that he had a an ad in every single one of these, and then some of the fanzines. I've seen him. I've seen some of his ads pop up there too. So there you go. Yeah, very extensive. One of the biggest collections apparently in North America. And the other guy that I buy from at the other flea market, Greg, is it Greg Harder? Is that his last name? I believe there's a couple of Gregs, and I always get them confused. Anyway, he used to work with Doug as well, and he's the guy that I'm getting. This Greg is the guy that I'm getting all the Comics Journal from lately. He has a list, and he's kind of putting stuff aside for me. He also is the same guy who had all those foreign books that I bought recently too. So it feels like I've kind of, as much fun as it is going bin diving and stuff like that, again, the idea that I feel like I've really hit the bins in the city quite a bit, and the stuff that I'm really interested in these days isn't the easiest to find. So it does kind of take a little bit of that fun out of it, just going online and ordering books, that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, what I want to do is I want to read these series. I want to check out these mini series that I'm just excited to be reading. So I don't mind. And again, supporting a local is always a good thing, or supporting a couple of local people is always a good thing. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Thanks very much for watching, everybody, and especially Wine 49er for tuning in. Thanks very much. And this is now good night.